Just how much human knowledge has been lost to history? Well, one of history's greatest losses came during the siege of the ancient city of Baghdad. When this ancient wonder was razed by the Mongols in 1258, it's said the Tigris River ran black with ink. But just what secrets did this ancient wonder hold? And why was it destroyed? 1200 years ago, Baghdad stood as the world's largest city in what is now the modern-day capital of Iraq. At its peak, 1.5 million people lived in the masterpiece of urban planning that was the Round City, and within it contained one of history's greatest libraries, the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom led great minds from all over the Arab world to converge, turning Baghdad into one of the greatest intellectual capitals in the world. Scholars came from all across the Islamic Empire, and even the ruling caliphs were eager to collect knowledge in this house of great minds and literature. But when the city was sacked 500 years later, the Islamic Golden Age came to an end, alongside a devastating loss of knowledge. But what was actually in there, and how much knowledge did we really lose? What makes the loss of the House of Wisdom so devastating was that it was first and foremost a place where knowledge was translated. After the collapse of the Roman Empire, thousands of classical texts were no longer being produced, and those that remained were scattered across Europe. Meanwhile, within the House of Wisdom, texts were being translated into Arabic from Persian, Syriac, and Greek, including some of the rarest Greek materials in existence, like the works of Plato, Aristotle, and Euclid. The rich and powerful caliphs would pay translators massive sums of gold in order to translate these rare European texts. Several great works of philosophy, medicine, astronomy, optics, and mathematics were translated, but original research also flourished. Foundational work was done in algebra, and many new medical techniques were pioneered through the knowledge of the Great Library. So much knowledge was stored there, in fact, that in 1258, during the sack of Baghdad by Mongol ruler Hulegu Khan, the Tigris ran black with ink. According to one source, so many books were thrown into the river that they formed a bridge that would support a man on horseback. While it's impossible for us to know what was destroyed, we do know that only an estimated 400,000 manuscripts were evacuated before the siege. Estimates as to how much was lost ranges in the hundreds of thousands, potentially on par with the losses at the Library of Alexandria. Such an occurrence is not uncommon, however. In fact, it's estimated that all of our knowledge of Greco-Roman history comes from a mere 1 to 10% of all its literature, with the rest being lost to time. Manuscripts that do survive don't just outlast wars and disasters. They primarily survive because cultures had a need to preserve them. In fact, the reason why so many books from authors like Plato, Virgil, Homer, and Aristotle exist today are because they persisted through school curricula for centuries.